Here we are. We're about to do that very thing on Mornings with Brian about a show on Apple TV Plus. It's called Severance. We're not telling you to go see it. We don't. I mean, if you do, great. If you don't. Whatever. But some of us are watching it, and it's causing a lot of thought and discussion. So, Lauren, since you're the most obsessed with Severance,
okay,
can you give somebody the basics? What is the show about?
It's a job that you take at this company, and you work on what's called a severed floor, and they implant a chip device into your brain that when you go into the elevator to go to work to your floor, it switches off your brain from the outside and turns on your brain to the inside, to your work person. So you have an outside world person, a personal life person, and a work person. And those two people do not know about each other, don't know anything. So like your outside personal person doesn't know what you do for work.
Oh, wow.
If you went home and your wife was like, oh, what'd you do at work today? Don't know.
Yeah, I was not aware of it. In fact, I kind of went blank for a second, and then the next thing I knew, I was coming home.
Yes.
I was leaving the office to go home.
Exactly. So your outside person goes into the elevator and their brain turns off, and the next thing you know, you're turning back on and you're coming out of the elevator, even though 8 hours has passed and you've been at work. And then your inside person, they don't know if you have a wife. They don't know if you have kids. They don't know anything about their personal lives.
All they know is that they come to awareness in an elevator, and every day they leave at a certain time because they're told to, and then the next thing you know, they're back in the morning.
Yeah, so the inside, the person that is at work, the innie is what they're called, the innie, their entire life existence is work. They don't get weekends. They don't get that. They also don't know anything about the world, like, because they work on a basement level. They're like, ooh, outside. Well, I wonder what that looks like.
Yeah, and so, I mean, you might be like, well, that's weird. Well, hold on, though. Have you ever had a day where you're like, I wish I could just fast forward through work and just be back home?
Yeah, or
like,
you have...
I don't want to go to work today.
Yeah, or you have such an incredibly bad day at work, and it's like ruminating over into your weekend. Some problems happening at work, and it's all you can think about at home, that you can't be present at home.
It's like the millennial and Gen Z dream of totally separating from your work. It'll have no effect on you because you don't even know what's happening at it.
Yes.
I think it's a relatable thing, which is why I love the concept of the show. It's not a typical storyline.
Yeah, because we always talk about having a work-life balance. This is the ultimate work-life balance. When you're home, you're home. When you're at work, you're at work.
And you don't even know what the other person's doing.
Yep.
And at first, when I started watching this, I was like, what a cool idea. I want to do this. And I know it sounds silly, but did you have that response?
Yeah. At the first concept, I was like, ooh, that's kind of cool.
Because it sounds appealing.
Yeah, because when you're at home, you can really just be home. And your home life isn't consumed with what happened at work today.
So, again, I like this just in a conceptual thing. This is where my inner Daria comes in. It's the art of it is wonderful. It's a new idea. I'm so tired of Disney remaking their old ideas.
Oh, yeah.
I'm so tired of everybody coming up with a sequel to a movie from 30 years ago that when there's a new idea, I just get pumped. I love creativity. And that's kind of where you sit, right? You're like, I need a good storyline.
Yeah, no, this sounds great. I mean, as I've heard you guys talk about it, I'm like, this sounds like something Jimmy and I would enjoy, and we'll probably make some time to watch it here in the next couple of weeks because it does sound fascinating. And I was hearing Lauren talk about the art direction. It sounds very well put together.
Now, Christianity Today wrote a piece about Severance. And when I saw this, I was like, oh, okay. What's their faith angle?
Right.
And it's all in, you don't even have to read the article, okay? It's in the headline. The headline is, Severance makes a case for suffering. So Severance makes a case for suffering because we know the Bible talks about suffering is inevitable. And what we're promised is that the Lord will be with us. We're not promised to escape our suffering. We're promised his presence in comfort and peace in the midst of our suffering.
Before we even get into what Christianity Today has to say about it, the thing about this is that this company is making these chips.
Yeah.
They've also made things like, and it's the story is that's progressing, their technology is progressing to do different things with it. They've made birthing huts. So you're severed to give birth so that your outside person doesn't know what it's feel like to give birth.
You can escape the pain of birth if you're stressed about it.
Yes.
Or for your kids, they don't like the dentist.
So you turn off their brain to go to the dentist, and then they're not traumatized by the dentist on the outside. But the person who's on the inside, who's, comes online, all they know is suffering. Because every time that they wake up, they're at the dentist. Every time they wake up, they're
you
giving
imagine?
birth.
Oh,
Wow.
yeah.
What a life.
But the whole concept, right, is this company says we can help you escape your suffering.
Yeah.
And most of the people you discover throughout the story, the people that have chosen to have an innie work person that they separate their work life.
For 8
They're
hours.
escaping pain.
For 8 hours a day. Yep.
They're escaping pain.
And everybody who works on that floor, at least, is an innie. There's nobody who stays open both.
Well, the
they have
management.
a manager.
The managers.
Okay.
The severed floor manager is the only person that is both.
And like the main character, we're not going to spoil anything for you. His wife tragically passes away. And he ended up losing his job as a teacher.
That's why he starts working here.
Yeah, because he just kept showing up drunk at work because he was so much pain and suffering from his wife dying. So his solution was, I'll just go work at this place and have to think about it at work.
Right.
I get an escape for 8 hours.
I get that.
But then on the other side, but if you choose to do this and you're a person that you like come online at work and you choose to do things like, oh, I'm going to go just do this for the dentist, or I'm going to do this just for things like giving birth or, going into surgery or whatever. Well, now there actually is a human being, because it is you and it is your physical body, is just suffering constantly. And so, like, what's the ethics behind that of like, oh, well, I'm just going to let this person just constantly live in suffering.
Mm.
Yeah, so it's kind of an upside down thing when it comes to suffering, but I think there is still this thing of you can't escape suffering.
Mm-hmm.
They seem to have developed the perfect way to not suffer.
Or at least not suffer for 8 hours a day.
Yeah, and turns out it didn't work at all. In fact, it causes more problems for you.
Find new ways to suffer.
Yeah,
Different
it's
ways
true.
to suffer. Mm-hmm.
In fact, your avoidance of suffering is causing suffering.
Yeah.
And
Yeah,
so
I would think that there's a segment somewhere in your brain that's building up, not physical cancer, but a metaphorical cancerous infection, whatever, that just so much bad is going on there that it's going to bust out and affect everything.
Well, yeah, I mean, it doesn't spoil too much to say the innies are spending all the time trying to get out. It's horrible. All they do is work. Can you
That's a
imagine?
miserable existence. To save one part of yourself pain, you're subjecting the other part of yourself to perpetual torture.
And so as CT indicates, Severance makes a case for suffering, for not avoiding suffering, because there's far too many consequences. There's worse consequences for avoiding suffering
Okay.
than there is to actually endure it. Are you with me on that? That's kind of what one of the messages is?
Yeah.
Now, for those who are worried about TV or whatever, there's some stuff in there, I guess, that would be objectionable.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
I mean, it's not the worst thing I've ever seen, that's for sure.
No.
It's not like an HBO program that
No.
does gratuitous things because they're HBO. But it's not like let's grab some popcorn and have a light, fun journey watching.
Yeah. It's not like a thriller, but it is
It's psychological.
suspenseful. Yeah.
And so here's my theory, though, because somebody might be like, whatever, suffering. I have a controversial theory I want us to play with a little bit. I think everyone self-medicates in some way to avoid pain. I think we look at addicts and we say, look at them, they're self-medicating. They're getting drunk to not feel sad anymore.
Most of us now self-medicate with our phones.
That's just it. I think everybody, to some degree, tries to avoid pain and suffering and self-medicates.
Oh, yeah.
But I want to dig
Food.
into that a little bit more together, what that would look like and why we need to do something about that. If you're just tuning in, we've been chatting about a series that Lauren is perhaps the number one fan of.
Oh, no. Not number one. There's a lot of people.
But you're a big fan. And
Have you
I'm a
guys
fan.
ever seen,
I like it.
Have you guys ever seen that meme of the man standing at a board with like all the yarn that's like connecting to each other, and he kind of has like a crazed look in his eye, and he's like pointing at the screen?
That's from Parks and Rec, right? Or is that Always
no,
Sunny?
it's Always Sunny.
It's like someone's trying to solve a crime and they have the yarn.
Yeah.
pointing- Yeah.
That's me about this show. I was watching it with my friends, and I paused the TV at one point, stood up from the couch, and pointed at the TV and started yelling about something that I needed them to understand.
I love it. And this is that kind of show.
Yeah.
There's a lot of twists and turns,
Yeah.
but it's well done. It's called Severance. It's on Apple TV Plus. directed by all people of Ben Stiller, Jerry Stiller's son, the guy that was in awkward guy comedies. He'd Meet the Parents and that kind of stuff.
Zoolander.
Night at the Museum.
It's
one of my favorite
Night at the
movies when I
Museum.
was a
Oh my
kid.
gosh, yeah.
I actually watched the show initially because Ben Stiller was a director. I thought, oh, this will be funny.
No.
No, it's not funny at all. The whole storyline is this company's created a science where you can avoid pain by severing yourself from pain psychologically. Whether if
You can
work
turn your
is
brain
pain,
off.
yeah, like turns your brain off and creates another identity, sort of another iteration of you. Or like Lauren said, you don't want it. You're really anxious about giving birth. Don't worry about it. Just sever your mind for that, and you'll never even know it's happening. But
You'll wake up and you have a baby in your arms. And you're like, "Oh,
well, yeah. Well,
look at this.
that. It's not so hard.
easy.
And what you begin to realize in the series is that, as Christianity Today says, the TV show makes the case for suffering, that avoidance of suffering ultimately creates more suffering. And I think there's a deep truth in that. The person who's self-medicating with alcohol to feel better is ultimately ruining their life.
Yeah, they're self-medicating and then it turns into an addiction that they cannot get out of the cycle of.
And it hurts their family. It destroys their family, destroys their relationships, maybe has them lose a job. And my controversial theory, perhaps, is that we all, to some perhaps serious degree, self-medicate.
True.
In ways that could be deceptive.
Oh, yeah.
And it's not, and you mentioned, Lauren, before the break, food. For some people, it's food.
Oh, there's a lot of people that eat emotionally.
And so it's not just the person, though, that's overweight or the person that's bulimic or anorexic that you can say, you're self-medicating.
You feel a little sad and you find yourself turning to a bag of chips or ice cream. Not necessarily that you're overweight or unhealthy, but you're turning towards something else in your sadness or your suffering.
How else do people, do you think, in a deceptive way self-medicate? What are some ways that are like sneaky?
Entertainment. For a lot of people, it's video games or their phones or some form of electronics. It's so easy to get just sucked into them, forget everything, and then just lose hours of your life.
It could even be a hobby. Like I've had times where I have a bunch of tools and stuff in the garage. I'll just go cut some wood and make something.
Turn your brain off.
Turn my brain off. Yes, I've used that phrase. I need to be able to turn my brain off sometimes. That's the TV show. I'm avoiding pain.
Exercise.
Yes.
Some people will go to the gym for hours on end.
Multiple times a day, yeah.
And they tell themselves, though, that what they're doing is actually they're a very healthy person.
Yeah, most things can be turned into unhealth if you overdo it.
Even water. Too much water is bad.
Yeah.
So somebody could be convincing themselves and others that they're doing a good thing because said thing could be objectively good, but the way they're using it is to sever themselves from their pain and self-medicate. Yeah?
Yeah.
So what are we supposed to do with our pain?
Give it to God.
Sounds too simple.
Well, it's easier said than done.
Yeah, I mean, the scripture talks about a number of things, but as the writer at CT says, the Christian life both acknowledges the inevitability of suffering and offers consolation. As in Isaiah 41:10, do not fear, for I am with you. Do not be dismayed, for I am your God. And there's other passages like, I will strengthen you and help you. I will uphold you with my righteous right hand. We are also in our sufferings because we know that suffering produces perseverance, character, and character hope. Like there's a purpose for our pain. As I've said before, pain is God's invitation to grow. I stole that from Nancy on the Nancy Show, Nancy Kane. But I don't know how often I've had to use that now with my kids, with myself. Because our natural inclination is to avoid pain. Make it stop.
I mean, if you think for a second about a spoiled child who's been given everything they ever want, mom and dad do everything they can to make sure that they don't have their feelings hurt or go through anything hard. That child is a nightmare, and no one wants to be around them. No one wants to be their friends. To an extent, I think that's what happens to us when we don't allow God to shape us through this suffering. And Americans in particular are very good at avoiding it.
And we have the resources to do it.
Correct.
And so I think all of us ought to do some self-examination. It's challenging me to do this, to really figure out how am I self-medicating to avoid pain, and yet convincing myself what I'm doing is good.
Yeah, we had someone text in that said, how many people are self-medicating by watching Severance?
Well, that's very meta.
Yeah.
That's very meta. But also, I think, and this is where I pull Daria up on my soapbox with me, and I go, this is why art matters. This is why art has value to the Christian life, because somebody is going to have that deep conviction that Scripture gives us brought to their attention because of a show.
Mm-hmm.
This is why art matters, Daria.
Yeah, no, there are lots of movies that are not Christian movies in the slightest. If you look closely and you're open to it, you can see themes of God because it just permeates everything. So even these people that want nothing to do with God have accidentally made a movie pointing to him.
And paintings can do this.
Yes.
And sculptures can do this. And novels can do this. This is why, again, I love the arts. And I think Christians ought to be champions of the arts. Some of the greatest works of art in world history were commissioned by churches. So, yay, Ben Stiller and Severance. You didn't mean to do it, but you taught us something important about the Bible.
Thanks for watching. Do you need more Ron in your life? Subscribe and ring the notification bell so you never miss a new video.